Hello! Welcome once again to the Turret of Pleasure here in the Enchanted Kingdom of Hermione. I'm the Lord Chamberlain of the Enchanted Kingdom Zip Gun. And I'm going to do a quick one today, sad one. It's bad news. We get a lot of this lately, the sort of musicians that made a difference to those of us now in our dotage, myself being included. And this has been a lousy week for really creative music. Not really a week, it's been a couple of weeks now, I guess. But they all happened, three rock deaths that affected me greatly in the last few weeks. And the first one was Mike Ratledge, keyboardist for the Soft Machine, very influential, cool Canterbury group that was started. Soft Machine had a lot of people in it over the years. Everybody from Robert Wyatt to Kevin Ayers to Carl Jenkins, the composer laureate of the United Kingdom. And they cut a course through sort of psychedelia in the beginning, pop songs with strong jazz elements, all held together with Mike Ratledge's organ usually. And he had a great sound. He had a very unique sound. He played a Lowry organ because he couldn't afford a Hammond. And he played it through a fuzz pedal and often through Marshall amps. And the Lowry organ is a kind of a weedy sounding thing with a really nee kind of vibrato in it. And I think you could turn the vibrato off. Now, in those days, there were no effects. Effects, none. He had the fuzz pedal, and the fuzz pedal just made it. Wow. His solos on the fuzz pedal, Lowry, they'll just kill you. Now, there's a reason they're so intense. If you stopped playing, the keyboard would squeal with feedback. So you had to just constantly play. And the other neat thing the Lowry organ had, which I really like, and I've never actually, you gotta look this up, I haven't done any research here, but it had what I guess was either a button or a foot switch, I'm not sure what, and you'd hit a note with the vibrato on, and this was the only effect he had really, and it would go beep, and he'd hit the button, it would drop the note a semitone and turn the vibrato off, and then you'd lift it up and it would go back to beep, with a sort of a portamento effect. And he used like his tiny arsenal of effects and sounds. He used it masterfully. And as Soft Machine went, he bought a Fender Rhodes, and he added the Fender Rhodes because they kind of turned into a jazz rock band. Very uniquely British sounding one, but very good. Went through a succession of saxophonists, including the famous Elton Dean, who had our bandmates steal his first name and go on to considerably larger fame. And he was, but Ratledge was kind of the main, he was there from the beginning. David Allen from Gong was there in the beginning as well. And he had to quit the band because he couldn't get back into England because he didn't have a passport. A very interesting story, the whole Soft Machine thing. And it goes all over the place. But the one constant for the first goodly chunk of it was Mike Ratledge. And he finally quit after the Softs album, I believe, where they were just a full-blown fusion band by that point, and Carl Ratledge was basically writing everything. So there was really no point in Ratledge even being there, and he withdrew almost completely and did almost nothing after. And like I say, he did some commercials, I think, maybe a few things here and there. Nothing I can find to listen to. And it's a great shame because he was a very talented keyboardist and a very talented composer who composed some great heads for Soft Machine. So rest in peace, Mike Ratledge. And then not days later, it seemed, the news came through the Drumbo Club, I think might have been who alerted it to me first, of the passing of the great Elliot Ingber, guitarist, amongst other things, of the very first Mothers of Invention album, Freak Out. He's the lead guitarist on that record, apparently. He then joined the Fraternity of Man and wrote Don't Bogart That Joint, which of course is probably his finest moment. Or certainly is probably the one that made him the most money, I hope. And but he was an interesting, very strange dude, and he ended up in, famously, the Captain Beefheart Magic Band of 1972-73, where he joined where he was given the name Winged Eel Fingerling, and his job was to play these blitzkrieg blues pentatonic scales over Beefheart-esque backing, which were hopefully normal enough for him to be able to play over, because he couldn't play the regular Beefheart stuff, the hard stuff. The big quote is, I can't get the licks. So they had these things, and his big showcase was a song called Alice in Blunderland, where he would just take off, and he was like a turbocharged Hendrix, sort of. He was notorious for doing a lot of drugs and just being a stone freak. He was a real freak. And one tour he left because he couldn't get enough vegetarian food. And another tour, I forget, he just kind of quit. And he sort of disappeared. He did some session work. I got him on that Peter Ivers record. He makes an appearance on that. But again, retired and didn't really do much. He's been interviewed for a few Beefheart docs, but I don't know exactly what happened. And yeah, he just passed away a couple of weeks ago. And then, of course, only a couple of days ago, percussionist Jamie Muir, another guy. All three of these guys, once their bright shining moment was happening, and they sort of said, okay, that's that. They just kind of disappeared. And Jamie Muir kind of appeared sort of out of nowhere. He, as far as I can think, he's on 3 official LP records. The first one is ECM, I believe it's number 5. He's on the album The Music Improvisation Company, which is a group of English free improvisers. Derek Bailey, Hugh Davies, who else is on this? Evan Parker, I think. Jamie Muir, and I can't remember who the other one is. Very free improv, creative, interesting, challenging. But he did a few other things. I'm not sure that actually ever came up, but he was shockingly and surprisingly recruited into King Crimson Mark, whatever you want to call it, 4 maybe? What many consider to be the classic era. Fripp, John Wetton, Bill Bruford, David Cross, and in the first incarnation, Jamie Muir. And Jamie Muir added a real dimension to this band. Their free improvisations were challenging amongst the very, very best hard rock free improvisations ever. And Bill Bruford is an excellent drummer, perfect for this role. And Bruford still says to this day he learned a lot from Jamie Muir. Some very important lessons, like the music doesn't exist for you, you exist for the music, was the big one. And he did the one record with Crimson, and then they did a few gigs. Fripp has, painstakingly, I think you can get almost every gig they did on a recording of some fidelity or another. The album, of course, exists, but I've got the big box set. I think I've got it. Certainly, if it exists, I've got it. They're all worth hearing. There's a German TV broadcast of them that's just fantastic, completely great. And then he quit. He went to a monastery. He decided he was having some kind of crisis of spirituality. And he left and joined a monastery in Scotland. And after sufficient unprogramming, I guess you might say, he kind of came out and did a bit. And he did a great record with Derek Bailey called Dart Drug. That I have somebody burn me a copy. I have it here somewhere. And it's hard to get. It's on Incus, I believe. Again, challenging free improvisation. And then basically that was it. And he, for, 40 years, I don't think he did hardly anything. He painted, did a lot of painting, did a lot of art, as did, Don Van Vliet, I guess it is. Captain Beefheart. Guys get out of music, and if they're painters, they get into painting. And so he passed away with his brother at his side, apparently all three of these guys passed away fairly peacefully. Lives very well lived. And I can't say we're going to miss them because none of them were really doing anything. But thanks a lot for the music, guys. And one wonders if there really is some sort of super cafe in the sky where all the newly arrived dead musicians congregate. There could be some interesting jams going on. I certainly hope they have a fuzz pedal for Mr. Ratledge's organ. Thanks for watching. Bad news I hate, but I like to pay tribute to these guys because you probably didn't even hear about them. I remember years ago Sam Rivers died, and I didn't hear about it for 3 weeks, which made me almost cry. So there you have it. 3 guys that were pretty important. No longer with us. No longer contributing. But, yeah. That's how it goes. We don't live forever. And with that happy news, I will bid you adieu. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll notify you. And whatever comes into my ridiculous head that I feel like sharing with people, I will get to you through the wonders of the interweb. Thanks for watching. Look after each other. We'll talk to you later.